Everybody, it's Michael with Asymmetrical Preparedness. Let's talk about water. Water is life. So, how much should you store? Honestly, I can't answer that for you. Because like I always say, different amounts, different AOs. Somebody in the desert of Arizona has different water requirements than I do here in the Pacific Northwest. What's the availability of water in your area? Some of the biggest things, most important things is, store water. But you can only store so much, and you can only fit so much in your bug-out vehicle, bug-out trailer, plan, whatever it is you have. Because water's heavy, very heavy. Those 55-gallon drums, I got a couple of those full of water. Am I going to lift those and throw them in the back of my truck? No. What would I have to do? I could dump them over, empty them out, clean them out really quick if I'm, got some time, set them in the truck, refill them with a garden hose, and then take off. Yeah. But water sources is so much more important. Where are the streams? Where are the rivers? Where are the lakes? Where are the ponds? All those kind of things. Also, know your area. A lot of this stuff stems from know your area. And know the area around your bug out routes and your bug out locations. And, kind of further expand your search and your knowledge of your area. As you start small and then build, knowing your area in a larger and larger and larger, circle around you, so that you can have access to this stuff, because it's vitally important. Know where the seasonal creeks are that may run in the winter, spring, stuff like that, but they're not around in the middle of summertime because they're seasonal. They dry up. That's important knowledge to know. Also, around these different water sources, what's the population density? What are the animals like? What are different threats like? Who might be there? Who might, stuff like that. Rainwater collection is really good if you have an option to do that. It's really easy. You can either collect it from gutters. You can collect it so simple, very simple. It's just get a big tarp, and basically you just string it up around some trees, between buildings, anything. You put posts in the ground and string it up yourself. Just find some way to elevate it, and then have it down in the middle. Tie off a weight onto the tarp. Make a collection, bunch it up together, tie a weight, cut a hole, put a bucket under it. When it rains, the tarp just collects it all and it runs right down in there and pours into the bucket. It's very simple. Or you could even use terrain features, like this is elevated behind me. I could lay the tarp up here, and then maybe stack some logs or something here to make it angled this direction. And then with the low point, put a bucket under it, hole, tarp, whatever, or dig a hole and do the same thing. It's very easy to collect rainwater. You could do some simple stuff, just like sit buckets out in the rain, and it'll collect it that way also. What else can you use? You can use so many different things. You don't have to have a tarp. You can have a poncho. You can have a Gore-Tex jacket. A tent, an old tent. Just so many different things. Anything that will basically collect it and run it down. There's just a plethora of different things you can use to collect rainwater. Also know, about your water table where you are. Maybe you can dig down, hand dug well. I don't know. That's not really an option for me. It's not an option for a lot of people, but some people may be an option. Store water, yes. How long should you store it? Water bottles, stuff like that. You get those cases of water bottles at Walmart or wherever, and there's an expiration date on there. Well, it's water. Yes, and stuff leaches into it. If you have water that you are a suspect about, then just set it off in another pile. Don't pour it out and get rid of it. Set it off another pile. Just make that not drinking water. Use that to fill the back of your toilet so you can still flush. Use that for watering your garden, your animals. Use that for bathing. Use that for doing dishes. Lots of different uses for water. Don't get rid of it. If you've got the storage space and it's okay, just set it off and make another pile and label it, or label your drinking water. Just say drinking water, and then the other pile is just not. You don't have to label it because it's not. And you can store water in lots of different things. Used soda bottles, juice bottles. Don't use milk jugs unless you can. Fill up, if you want to, if you got the space, fill up milk jugs with water from your tap and set them in the pile that's not for drinking. Because you can still use that for, flushing your toilets, stuff like that. So There's still uses, even for non-potable water. I mean, I live very close to Puget Sound. I can go down there and fill up buckets of water, bring them back here, barrels, whatever I want, and I can use that to flush the toilets. I can use that for different things. Obviously, it's salt water, so you can't use it for anything. And desalination is such a difficult process and slow and painful process. Yes, you can do it, but why when there's such a plethora of fresh water around here? Make sure you also have, like we've talked about, water filters, purification tablets, bleach, pool shock. There's lots of different ways to sanitize or to make water potable, as well as simple boiling it. But boiling it will kill bacteria, but it won't get rid of like heavy metals and stuff like that. So you want to have different methods of cleaning it. One of my favorites is Sawyer Mini, the Sawyer Squeeze, all those filters, because they have a what was it, a 0.01 filter rate, and they're based on absolute microns, meaning that a lot of other filters out there only have some 0.01, whatever that number is, micron filtration, and others that are larger, holes for filtration. So they have a partial. Well, Sawyer has a absolute, meaning every single pathway through that filter is at least that small. So it's an absolute filtration. So they're very good, and they're back flushable. So you can use them over and over and over and over. They're so good. They're so awesome. Sawyer filters are just awesome. Sound like an advertisement here. I have no affiliation with Sawyer water filters whatsoever. Disclaimer. But yeah, there's also things like backpacking, hiking ones like Katydin filters, if I'm saying it correctly. There's also the big Berkeys, stuff like that. Those are expensive, but well worth it. And you can also make homemade water filters. You use buckets of sand and charcoal and stuff like that. There's different things that you can use to filter water. You can make your own, with layers of t-shirt in between materials and stuff like that. There's a bunch of different stuff that you can use to make your own like bucket type system that will filter water. So yeah, water sources to me is so much more important than just storing water. You can only store so much water. Unfortunately, we all don't have big huge warehouses on hundreds of acres in a big huge farm / homestead. We got to do what we got to do, and water is life. So you're going to run out of what you have. So a source of replenishment is vitally important. I want you guys to think about that. That's really important. What else about water? Right now, drink lots of it. Water is so good for you. It's so healthy. I drink tons of water a day. It just helps clean your system out. It just, staying hydrated is very, very, very important. Like if something goes down and I got to go grab my kit and run off to defend my neighborhood or area or something, if I'm not all in a state of constant hydration, then I may get dehydrated when I'm out there doing the things. So stay in a constant state of hydration, of being well hydrated. Also, what I would do is before I headed out the door, I just down a big, huge, bottle of water, refill it, throw it in my pack, have some extra, stuff like that. Let me see. That kind of covers it. I mean, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot of other stuff I could talk about, but I think that's pretty decent. I think that I hope you guys are thinking about taking it seriously. Like I said, information and intel is vital. Water replenishment is where it's at, and a good source of clean. If you got neighbors around with wells or stuff like that can be used when the power's out, great. Will the power be out? I don't know, but it's good. If you have a well, look at an option like a hand pump and look into it and see how easy it is if you can do it. It may not work if you're on a shared well, but if you have a private well, definitely check into it. You could even tap off one of the lines somewhere, before the wellhead, underground, run it up to your house or something like that, put a hand pump next to your house or something, and manual hand pump. Then you got a source of water forever, no matter what. So, unless the well runs dry. So, these are some things to think about. I love you guys. Prep a little every day, and prep at a peace of mind out of fear. Blessings to you and yours.